Morning everyone, Paul Duncan with GammaEdge here. Today is Tuesday, the 5th of April. Let's jump in. Taking a look at the overall index condition, we're seeing growth on the positive side of the equation, meaning that we're seeing positive gamma being added. This is short-term calls, most likely. And you can see for the SPX, we had a drop in net negative gamma and a pretty significant increase over the previous day in net positive gamma. So that is reflected to a certain degree here also on the SPY. The difference being here is that the SPX, which is the largest complex in the world, at probably about $3.5 trillion, is actually in a net positive gamma condition with the green wing greater than the red wing, whereas we do not have that condition over here in the SPY, but we're working on it. Overall, we're going to color this green. We think this is a very constructive upward bullish pattern. When we take a look at the Qs and IWM, kind of the same story. Fairly significant growth on the net positive gamma side and a drop on the net negative gamma side for the Qs relative to the previous day, whereas when we take a look at IWM, also seeing a growth on the net positive side, but we also saw some downside protection being added yesterday also, so that is the only differential. Nevertheless, we're going to color this green and consider that we're in a fairly good environment. Looking at the 1 DTE, the takeaway is to watch for some monetization. When we take a look at the SPX, and remember this is for tomorrow, when we take a look at the SPX, you can see that the existing price is above a fairly dominant call level here, and you can see where we are, of course, getting up above 4,600, and then seeing that negative gamma sitting right there on the expiry is pretty important. We think we're going to actually get trapped in this area until it clears, but nevertheless, watch for some monetization. All these calls that are showing in the green bars are in the money right now, and that's fairly significant. We also have some puts that are in the money also, and so watch for this push-pull that's going to occur. Nevertheless, net positive expiry, as you can see here, so just keep an eye on that. When we take a look at the SPY, we're right between the goalposts. You can see a little bit of in the moneyness here, what we've got, but negative expiry. We could actually have some fuel to the upside, especially if we see any form of monetization. If the spot price falls down towards the zero, and if it comes down and 450 for whatever reason intraday is breached between today and tomorrow, we could actually see some monetization pushing us back up. On the flip side, 460 is the upper line in the sand. If we start moving up towards that area, all of this could get monetized. The SPY is a equity settled, whereas the SPX is cash settled, and that actually has an impact in terms of how traders deal with their profits. So again, watch what we're setting up here for. When we take a look at the Qs, kind of the same story. You can see a fairly significant amount of net positive gamma that is in the money right now. Moneyness matters. Can't stress that enough. We're above the zero. We've got some fairly significant gamma levels coming off tomorrow. These people are profitable, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. If we get above 370 here, we could actually see some fairly significant monetization, and it'll be interesting. That would put downside pressure in dealer response. Finally, on IWM, we're between the goalposts, very weak, very, very weak on the small caps. Net positive expiry, as you can see here, but we're sitting literally at the 50-yard line here, not anticipating a lot with small caps. Taking a look at the market model, we've had 4 of 5 days now are showing fairly solid 52-week new highs. This is a good indication that we have broad participation in this market, so that's chalk that up as a good indicator. We actually had some institutional buying via the filtered cumulative tick, which is positive, all right, better than seeing the selling, right? So we're definitely seeing some participation by the larger institutions in the form of sweep orders. We've got in the unfiltered cumulative tick, or just the normal cumulative tick, we've got what we call a linear up, and this is just indicative of buying across the market. So traders are buying the market broadly, and that's a good thing. And then, as we talked about yesterday, In the morning call, we needed to see a continuation pattern as we move up, and excuse me, and we actually saw it. And this is a good thing. So we have remained above the historical moving averages where we turn. We are in a bullish stance, and this is throttle up. So we're definitely looking for the long side here. Nothing here is predictive. I want to make sure everyone understands this. This is a review of market sentiment to the minute. It is not a prediction, but you need to know where you're at in order to know where you're going. And this gives us a very, very good view of where we are at. What happens today is, obviously, we had no visibility that yesterday was going to be continued up here. But we knew that in order to participate, we had to see that turn. That is the purpose of a market model, is to know where we're at and what the potential for what we call trajectories, what the different trajectories are. Make sure you internalize that, because if you don't have a view of that, you're going to have a hard time estimating what your reaction is going to be if the market does one thing or another. Taking a look at vol and the VIX, we are looking for a long entry on volatility. We are holding fairly steady here in the 18 to 20 range. We're seeing vol creep up. Typically this precedes a move up as we get the Bollinger Bands continuing to contract down here. We're looking to put a spread on here. If we get any movement above the previous day highs, for that reason, we're going to throw a yellow on the green light here. Taking a look at expiration, we've moved almost across the board into a positive expiry for the next month. That's fairly significant. We're seeing growth across the board in net positive gamma. That's fairly significant. I would draw your attention here. Even with all this positive gamma out here, we could still grind higher. I list some three things here: moneyness, monetization, and the VIX, and demand for downside protection really drive a lot of what we're going to see here. We talked about this last night in the Discord, in the questions channel. It's pinned there, so if you're so inclined, go look at that pinned message. Read on down through. I go into some detail about why we're grinding higher. When we take a look at the GEX by strike, you're here at 45.82. We kind of pinned right in this area after we crossed the 45.75 area, 45.70 yesterday. Again, talked about that in the Discord. To the upside, 4600 is a fairly significant overall structure. 4550 is the last line in the sand to the downside. We breached that. You can see we got a fairly brief transition, and then we are at 4500. So we could fall fairly quickly down through 4550. Just be aware of the weakness there. Taking a look at the 1 DTE, looking at the single tiles turned over here, positive gamma expiry, fairly weak. We are kind of balanced in the equation. I want to draw your eye to the emergence of this 4605. What happens is that as we start moving up, if we do take and surpass for the expiry, if we do surpass the 4600, the gamma exposure and the delta exposures flip very quickly. And so this could be a stalling area. I want to draw your eye to it. Watch this 4600, 4605, 4610 area in the expiry. This is an expiry construct, has nothing to do with the broader context of the SPX. Also note, we got this transition at 4565, 4560 area. This will be another area where delta collapses and we start transitioning into a negative gamma scenario on the expiry. This is another neat hiding place, so we could see some pinning here, we could see some pinning here. If we do lose both of these areas and start moving down, you can see in terms of the different structures for the expiry where we could pause areas of liquidity. Below circle 6, we could see a monetization to push this back up, because you're going to have a lot of moneyness here, a lot of in the money in terms of the net negative gamma. So just make sure you understand that. If you have any questions, make sure you ask them in the Discord. Finally, taking a look at the last structure here, this is the SPX AM plus PM settled. We call this the combo. Net positive overall. You saw that on the wing charts at the beginning. Fairly strong. We're actually increasing in the overall net exposure, gamma exposure here. That's good. Want to draw your eye up here to this 4695, 4700. We're seeing this emerge. Fairly significant delta and gamma exposures, even from way down here. If we do plow through the 4600, the expiries notwithstanding, you can see we've got 4650. It's going to be a fairly significant delta and gamma level. And then the 4700 layer level here is going to be very, very significant to plow through. We'll have to see. Below the 4550, as I said in the overall distribution, very, very weak below 4550 down to 4505, 4500. And if we lose the 4500, we're almost immediately going to fall down, I think, down to the 45.50. These would be into the close. Intraday, it's anyone's game. Not a lot of pressure intraday, depending on when it is, after the euro close, into the euro close, etc. So just be aware. But nevertheless, you can see green deltas across. You can see where the transition is for the gammas. So I think we're in fairly good shape. I would buy the dips, and let's just keep doing what we do. So that's it for today. If you like what you've seen, please join us at GammaEdge.us. That'll take you to a Discord sign-up page, and you get 14-day free trial. All the tools turned on. Great group of people, very active in the voice, very active in the channels. We have all levels of experience. Traders there, from the beginners all the way to 30-year plus veterans. So come on in and see how you can apply this to your style. If you have a style, if you don't have one, we'll help you create one. Follow us on Twitter, please. Would always enjoy having you follow and get notified there. And then, of course, on YouTube, if you like today's content, like it and subscribe and get notified next time we post a video. So everyone, make it a great Tuesday. Good luck to everyone, and we'll see you in the Discord.